Design teams spend months perfecting the birth of a product. They script the launch film, engineer the precise friction of the cardboard unboxing, and time the exact micro-animation that plays when the hardware wakes for the very first time. But the ending is rarely designed with such care. In 2016, Google intentionally shut down the servers for the Revolve Smart Home Hub, a companion to the Nest ecosystem. A $300 piece of consumer hardware became a paperweight overnight. These deaths are a physical anomaly. The glass remains smooth, the metal housing is pristine. Every single internal circuit and wireless antenna works exactly as well as it did on the day it rolled off the assembly line. The hardware doesn't fail, the manufacturer simply revokes the right for it to exist. This pattern of administrative shutdown is accelerating. In 2024, Spotify deactivated Every Car Thing, a functional $90 dashboard screen on a fixed calendar date. Millions of dollars of working hardware were instantly transformed into electronic waste. When a flawless machine can be killed by a remote server shutoff, the very definition of ownership has changed. You hold the hardware, but your right to keep it functional is a licensed conditional privilege. Good design has traditionally relied on material honesty. When you buy a steel wrench or a wooden chair, the object is exactly what it appears to be. Its utility is inherent to its physical form. Modern connected devices are often dishonest objects. They present themselves as permanent physical possessions, while operating under a revocable software license. They look like property, but they function as a rented service. This wooden radio represents the original era of planned obsolescence. In 1932, Bernard London proposed using engineered expiry to revive the economy, but he imagined slow, physical wear, vacuum tubes burning out, or tires losing their tread over years of service. Today, obsolescence has shifted from a slow physical fact to an instant administrative action. A product's lifespan is no longer limited by friction or gravity, but by a decision in a distant office. In 2020, Sonos introduced a recycle mode for this speaker. It allowed owners to trigger a digital countdown that permanently disabled their perfectly functional hardware in exchange for a discount on a new model. Only a massive customer revolt forced the company to end the program. This logic is now appearing in vehicles like this BMW. The manufacturer recently attempted to gate hardware, heated seats already physically bolted into the car, behind a monthly software subscription fee. In this new economy, the consumer owns the raw materials, the steel, the plastic, and the leather. The actual behavior and utility of the object remain the property of the manufacturer. A device dying on a specific calendar date is a deliberate feature, authored during the concept phase, before a single component is ever manufactured. This diagram shows the architectural choice dictating a product's death. Instead of processing commands locally, baseline functions route through a remote server. This fatal dependency means when a company flips a switch to save maintenance costs, the hardware on your counter instantly ceases to function. Companies rarely disclose this dependency to buyers. The Federal Trade Commission, headquartered here in Washington, reviewed 184 connected devices and found that nearly 89% failed to state how long they would receive the software support required to work. A cloud-dependent product has its true lifespan dictated by a business meeting rather than a user's care. Its death is scheduled by people the owner will never meet. Every line of code and server requirement carries physical weight in the real world. The physical cost of digital decisions is becoming measurable. The United Nations Global E-Waste Monitor recorded a record 62 million tons of electronic waste in 2022, a figure growing 5 times faster than our recycling infrastructure. Every bricked device, hardware that was functioning perfectly until a server shut down, is added to this pile. This is waste authored in a design review, long before a consumer ever touched the product. Designers have an alternative: local-first software. This architecture keeps core functions and data on the device itself, treating the network as an optional sync rather than a mandatory source of truth. A local-first product survives its parent company by default. When the smartwatch maker Pebble closed, Google open-sourced the operating system. Because the software lived on the watches, the community could rebuild the platform and keep the hardware ticking. While right-to-repair laws and regulators are finally addressing these dead ends, policy can only attempt to patch the ending. Designers set the trajectory at the beginning. Whether an object outlives its maker is decided in the architecture before a single surface is drawn. A design decision is a cheap sketch at the start, but it becomes a massive physical reality at the end.